What is going on, Chum Guzzlers? Welcome back to Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Captain Steve, and it is Grizzly May, and we're starting the month off with Grizzly from 1976, directed by William Girdler. I don't know, that's a fun name to say. But yeah, this is our Jaws 50th episode for this month. So I just decided to make the whole month about bear movies because I think there's a lot of similarities between like these and shark movies, especially the movies that I've picked out for this month. One of them I haven't actually seen before, but we'll get more into that later in the month. And actually later in the month too, we have another movie that I think we could also probably consider to be part of the Jaws 50th celebration. So you're actually going to get 2 episodes this month. And over on Patreon, I'm actually going to be covering Grizzly 2, The Revenge this month from 1980/2020-ish. I'm going to rip that movie a new asshole over on Patreon. So if you like what I do here and you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/bucket of chum. Every month I'm doing an exclusive episode over there. And this year, there's a lot of Jaws 50th episodes going on over there. And if you can't support the podcast in that way, you can leave a 5-star rating or a review wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, share the video, all that fun stuff. It is all greatly appreciated. Before we get into our normal segments, I want to start off with a little bit of trivia about this movie. So this first part is mostly dealing with the novelization of this movie. After I read this, so I'm about to read the excerpt from IMDb. As soon as I read this, I'm like, I need to go out and buy this book at some point because this sounds fucking awesome. So here's the piece of trivia. The film's novelization explores the grizzly's backstory and thoughts. It is revealed that, as a cub, he grew unusually fast, causing his mother to abandon him before he could hunt or forage properly. Throughout his life, the grizzly has been shunned by his own kind, including potential mates, for his freakishly large size. Same. Prior to coming to the park, he has avoided humans, which he calls the two-legged enemies, and has never been sighted by them. However, he is repeatedly driven out of his usual hunting grounds by human expansion and ends up on a mountaintop where he injures his jaw, leaving him in serious pain and preventing him from catching his usual prey. This injury, coupled with the hatred he has developed towards humans for repeatedly forcing him to move, leads him to become a man-eater. Also in the novel, he is killed with a flamethrower instead of a bazooka. Spoiler alert for the end of the movie, but if you haven't seen this movie before, you need to go and watch this. If you're a fan of Jaws, Grizzly is 100% a movie you need to watch. But yeah, after reading that, I was like, I need to fucking read this book, because this just sounds awesome. Another piece of trivia I read, so they used a lot of like actual trained bears in this movie. I think there was like 1 or 2 that they mainly used, but one of them they would kind of lead the bear along with like a fish on a stick sort of thing, like you would a fucking donkey or horse with a carrot. And I guess the bear like was smart enough to figure this out at one point, and then eventually just like started to turn and run towards the crew, but he turned like so fast and then just grabbed the fish and ran away. And apparently this all happened within like 3 seconds or something like that. So absolutely insane. But yeah, this is just crazy. And as I mentioned, there was one movie this month that I haven't watched yet, and that's 1977's Day of the Animals, which is also directed by William Girdler and is often confused as a sequel to this movie because it does feature some similar themes and a fight with a bear and whatnot. So we're going to cover that next episode or the episode after. I can't entirely remember what. But yeah, I want to take a look at that movie too because, again, some people considered it or thought of it as a sequel to this movie. So I thought it'd be a fun one to add, and plus it'll give me an excuse to actually watch it. And now back to our regular segments, and we're going to start off with the Letterboxd plot synopsis. 18 feet of gut-crunching, man-eating terror. An 18-foot grizzly bear figures out that humans make for a tasty treat. As a park ranger tries rallying his men to bring about the bear's capture or destruction, his efforts are thwarted by the introduction of dozens of drunken hunters into the area. So this has an average rating of 2.7 stars on Letterboxd. I can kind of see that. I think it deserves a little bit higher. I'll give my rating at the end, of course. But yeah, I think that's a little bit on the low side, but also kind of understandable for what the movie is overall. Now, for poster expectations, I have seen this movie before. I own it on Blu-ray from 88 Films, but the poster is pretty dope. Like, most of the variations are very similar and kind of the same. But the main one is like this, just the grizzly, and it's a hand painted poster just standing over top of a woman who's at a campfire. It's just very menacing. So I mean, yeah, we expect to see an absolutely massive bear in this movie. Being 1977, we're going to get some live bear action, as we already know. And I mean, you'd also expect to see some animatronic stuff. There's actually not a whole lot of like animatronic bears from what I can tell. There is definitely like a lot of like the bear swipes a lot, so we mostly just see like a bear arm kind of come into frame. So a lot of that's just kind of like the practical effects, but they show them like very quickly, so you don't really have time to focus on it. So, which I think really actually works kind of well for this movie. But even looking at this poster, like, you know that this movie is going to have a little bit more of a serious tone and not so much like lighthearted, like fun for the most part. But yeah, no, it's still a very enjoyable movie. But again, just check out the poster for this movie. They're all pretty awesome. And again, if you haven't listened to the show before, I am going to go into the plot of this movie. I do like a general overview of the plot, so we're going to get into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie before and you don't want it spoiled, stop listening now, go watch the movie, come back and listen. But for now, it's time for me to take my clothes off and bear it all, and let's dive in. So the movie starts off with this helicopter pilot named Don, who we're going to see throughout the movie, and he's flying around these guys in like business suits or whatever, and he's basically talking about how like Washington should pass laws to kind of protect the natural landscape because people just keep encroaching on these lands, and he's like, yeah, we don't want to like ruin the great American landscape, you know, like this is America. Somebody should fucking tell that to the White House. And then the credits start rolling as we see like more landscape shots, and then we see like campers getting ready at like a ranger station. Now throughout the movie this takes place in a national park, but they never actually specify like which national park this is. I can't remember where they filmed this, but it's just supposed to be like a generic national park in general. Like, I don't think it's in any specific area per se, or it's supposed to be and they just couldn't use the actual national park name. I'm not entirely sure. And then we go to our main character, who is a forest ranger played by Christopher George, named Kelly, and he's giving a speech on how this is like their busy after season. So I guess it's like after the main season is over, there's still like a bunch of people coming to this national park and camping and whatnot. And he's saying, like, basically they can't handle it. They don't have the staff to do this, but they're just going to have to do the best that they can. Yeah, this man is no Steve Rogers or Captain America at giving motivational speeches whatsoever. But then we see Allison and her father discussing business. So Allison is kind of like his love interest in this movie. She kind of comes in and out, but doesn't really add a whole lot to this movie. Like, we could have really done without this character overall. But anyways, she's meeting with her dad and saying like, oh, you're not charging the patrons enough for wine, you're losing money, and blah, blah, blah. And he hasn't been paying bills. I don't know why we needed this scene. It doesn't add anything, and I don't even really think we go back to her father at any real point. I mean, unless there's like deleted scenes or something, like maybe this was supposed to be more. This movie's only an hour and a half, so it's very possible that there's some deleted scenes and plot lines that just weren't followed through in the end. But then Kelly comes into the restaurant and he takes her away because they were supposed to be meeting or something. And then they have this conversation where he's like, oh, you're spoiled. And she's like, I'm not spoiled. I'm just trying to help my dad run his business and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Who fucking cares? Anyways, she's a photographer, so like running the restaurant isn't like her main business. I guess she's an actual photographer, or she's going to school for it. Not made entirely clear, or it is and I just wasn't paying attention, which tends to happen a lot. And then we go to two female campers at their site, and they get startled by a ranger who comes out of the forest on horseback. And instead of saying hi like a fucking normal human being, he's just like, stay out of trouble and check into the ranger station when you leave. Leave before sunset and all that. And then he just kind of fucks off. What a ladies' man. Then this is where we get some like grizzly POV as he hears the female campers, and then he starts like searching for them. So we do very much the same thing as like Jaws, where we're just seeing it from the animal's point of view. And I mean, this is effective because like we're just in the animal's shoes, so to speak. And like they obviously don't have the money to do like a big elaborate electronic bear. There's no CGI or anything. So I think like shots like this work really quite well. And again, we do see a lot of practical bear, and the actual bear that they used, obviously isn't 18 feet tall or whatever, but I think it was like 11 feet. So, I mean, that's still a pretty big fucking bear. And every time we get the bear POV, like, we can hear it, like, the way it's breathing and growling and whatnot. Like, it's actually, like, really scary. And, like, if I actually heard this in the woods, I would probably shit myself. I almost shit myself watching the movie, but luckily I didn't. But I had my diaper on just in case. So the ladies start cleaning up their campsite to get ready to, like, leave, and one of them goes to use the washroom, and the one that's left behind is, like, immediately attacked by the bear, and it swipes her arm right off, mauls her face, and then the other woman comes back and sees this, and she starts running away. She finds a cabin and then runs inside, closes the door, and she's like, oh, thank goodness, I'm safe. But then the bear comes in and starts tearing the fucking place down. We see her face get mauled, and that's pretty much it. But for like an opening kill, like it's pretty visceral for this movie. And again, keeping the bear off screen, and it's still just showing like how powerful this thing really is. Like it is really a force to be fucking reckoned with. We go with Kelly and Allison, and they're like flirting on the side of the road in their truck or something. And then this other ranger stops by, the one who was on horseback earlier. He comes driving by and says like, oh, these girls haven't like checked out yet or whatever. So Kelly and Allison join him and follow him up to their campsite. So they park their trucks like just like, I think they said like 150 meters away from the site, so they have to walk in the rest of the way. But they see this shack that the other girl was hiding in beforehand. So Kelly goes and checks it out. Can't get in the door, so he walks around back and sees like the whole wall has been torn down. And then as he's searching through, he finds the woman dead. And we get like a pretty good look at her, and she's all bloodied up and whatnot. And so then we cut to night, and a whole team is out searching for the other woman. And everyone's aware it's a bear. Like, it's no secret. They're like, oh, what could it be? What was it? Like, it's a bear. They've already established that. There's no, like, oh, maybe it was a mountain lion. Maybe it was a person. It's like, flat out, we know it's a fucking bear. And the whole time that they're searching for this other woman, Kelly is very adamant that nobody goes home until they fucking kill it. And then Allison is going around taking photos of everything from different angles. And then she ends up tripping over the body that they're looking for, and she is fucking screaming. And then we cut to Kelly in the coroner's office talking with the coroner. And the coroner suggests that, like, she came across a cub and then, like, the mother attacked her or something. When Kelly is like, well, there's no evidence of cub being in the area whatsoever. And so they try to speculate as to why a bear would come down to the site, because apparently they took a bunch of bears and moved them, like, further up this mountain. It's not really a mountain, but, you know, higher up on this hill or whatever. And I guess they've tagged all the bears too. So they try to figure out what its reason would be for coming back down. But then Kelly leaves as soon as Kittredge, who is the park supervisor, comes in, and he asks like why he had to hear about this over the radio and why he wasn't notified. In his defense, Kittredge is our fucking like Mayor Vaughn, you know, from fucking Jaws. But like in his defense, like, yeah, somebody probably should have told him, and he shouldn't have found out over the radio. So I mean, I'm kind of with him on that one. Sorry, Kelly, but like you should probably tell the park supervisor about a fucking bear attack. And they have a little tiff, and Kittredge says like he wants a full investigation into this after they find the bear. And then Kelly's like, oh, well, what type of investigation? I mean, basically, Kittredge wants a fucking scapegoat. He wants to, like, blame somebody for this, so he's going to try and blame either Kelly or someone else we'll meet later on in the movie, Scott. And now Scott, or Scotty, as they sometimes call him, he's the one who, like, tagged all of these bears, and he knows, like, every bear in this area, apparently. So Kittredge says that he wants Kelly to go and find him and bring him down so he can talk to him. And we hear a radio broadcast telling backpackers and campers in the area to clear out, and anybody in the nearby areas shouldn't venture to the attack area. And then Kelly is on the phone trying to get in contact with Scotty, but whoever is on the line is giving him a hard time or something. But we go to the woods, and we're with Scotty, and he's like trying to track down a group of deer or something like that. And then his radio starts going off, and it scares all the deer away, and he gets pissed off. So he answers it, and it's Kelly on the other line saying like, hey, there's been a bear attack. You need to come down here because we need to talk to you. We then see a couple of park rangers searching for the bear, and one of them is Gail, I think, and the other one is Tom. And then Tom's like, oh, well, I'm going to go and search this other area. I'll come back down here in 15 minutes. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go soak my feet in the creek. And they're by, like, this big waterfall or whatever. And apparently soaking her feet means stripping down into her underwear completely and then hanging out behind the waterfall. Those are two very different things in my book, but either way, she goes behind the waterfall, and of course our fucking bear is back there just waiting for her, I guess. And we just see like the bear paw come in and swipe her, and then we just see like the water start to turn like bloody in this waterfall. So again, we don't see a whole lot, but like it's very suggestive as to what is happening, which I think is a lot, especially back then. I think like that's really powerful and just a really effective way of suggesting the violence rather than actually showing it. It's kind of like in Reservoir Dogs, which is one of my favorite movies, like the ear cutting scene. Like we never actually see Michael Madsen cut the cop's ear off in that movie, but like the suggestion of it happening and like the aftermath of it lets us know everything that we needed to know about that scene, and like the violence is still just as, if not more, impactful if we had actually seen everything. I know that kind of contradicts sometimes when I say like, oh, I want to see more blood and gore and whatnot. I want to see more blood and gore if your movie isn't that fucking great, or if it's like a little bit lower budget, or like there's not much else going on story-wise. I mean, there are still ways to like do a really good movie without showing all of the blood and gore and whatnot. Like Jaws, Grizzly, like these are great examples of this. Even Alligator from 1982 or 1980 as well. Like I think you put those three movies side by side, and like they're all just as effective as the last. But anyways, we go to Kelly, and he's at the restaurant having a drink and a smoke, and he's sad about Gail and Tom and whatnot. And he's starting to get anxious about Scott not being there. And then Allison tells him to have another drink. The 70s. Something's wrong, have another drink. It's also just my parents' style of parenting. Anyways, the next day, Kelly's up in the helicopter with Dawn, and they discuss if like the bear has shown any patterns or anything, but so far it's just gone after women and keeps moving. And the pilot's like, oh, just like me. Anyways, they spot something down below, and it looks like a bear or something, so they land the chopper, and we kind of see a bear in the field, but it's definitely a lot smaller than our bear. And then Kelly goes to take aim, but then Scott stands up, and then Kelly asks, like, what he's fucking doing. Long story short, Scott says the bear that did this, like, wasn't one of the ones that they tagged. So this isn't a bear that they've been tracking. Like, they have no idea, which we mentioned earlier in the novelization version of this. We can see that, like, it's not one of their typical bears in this area. And then he also tells him that it's not a brown bear, it's a grizzly bear. But then Dawn and Kelly kind of argue with this back and forth because they're like, well, there hasn't been a grizzly here in like decades because there was like a bounty put out on them like years ago. So they basically just wiped them out of this area. But Scott is the expert. Scott is basically our kind of like Hooper and Quint character kind of wrapped into one. And like Dawn, the helicopter pilot, is a little bit Quint, but like I would say Scott is like definitely like Hooper and Quint kind of wrapped into one. But Scott is 100% sure that it's a grizzly bear because he found some like claw marks on a tree. And he also says that like this thing is like 15 feet tall. He says 15 feet tall in the movie, but like all the posters say that the bear is like 18 feet tall. And I don't actually know if they say at any point in the movie that the bear is 18 feet tall. So I guess that's just how big it's supposed to be, even though we don't actually say that in the movie or whatever. But yeah, anyways, he says he's 15 feet tall and weighs over 2,000 pounds. That's a big fucking bear. And next we go to a campsite, and there's just a ton of people sitting around fires, drinking, singing songs. And we see this couple outside of a tent, and then the woman leaves and goes inside and starts getting like all prettied up, putting lipstick on and whatnot. But then the bear comes in and just fucking snatches her up. And then we just see her getting, like, bashed against a tree and bloodied up as the bear is, like, growling, and everyone is just freaking the fuck out. This was just really, like, so violent, even though we don't really see much, but, like, we can kind of just see her getting, like, beat against this fucking tree. Again, they don't show a lot, but they also are showing us a lot in the same sense. Like, it's pretty fucking violent. Like, I forgot how violent this movie actually... I guess it isn't violent, but it also sort of is in a way. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain because it's not. It's definitely more violent than Jaws is and what they show us. But there's also a lot of stuff that they don't show us too, which like I was saying, like it just works really fucking well. But after all this, the rescue team shows up and tells everyone else to get back to their campsites. And then Kelly talks to the woman's boyfriend or partner or whatever and comforts him while he escorts him into an ambulance. And then Kittredge comes and gives Kelly shit, and Scott. And then Scott lets him know, like, it's a grizzly. But then, of course, Kittredge argues with him and tells him, oh, well, just get the bear either way. And I'm like, why are you arguing with this man? I'm like, you sit at a fucking desk all day. This dude who's out in nature all the fucking time, dressing as animals, disguising himself, like, with scents and whatnot. I'm pretty sure he would know what the fuck he's talking about. So then Kelly says, like, okay, well, get me some men from Washington so we can deal with this thing. But Kittredge is just like, no, just deal with it. Or I will. So what's your plan on dealing with it, Kittredge? Would you probably call some men from Washington in to come and deal with it, perhaps? Because I don't, like, what are we doing here? Oh, but wait, we're going to see exactly how Kittredge is going to do with it, because we then see just groups of hunters going out and searching for the bear, but we see signs that, like, there's no hunting allowed in this area. So basically, Kittredge has just opened up this area for hunting. And then, so this is the next day, and so Kelly and Scott see this, and so they go and visit Kittredge and ask him, like, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, oh, yeah, they'll end up taking care of it. But, like, Kelly and Scott's argument is like, okay, you've just hired, like, a bunch of fucking, like, hicks and hooligans to go out there hunting. They're gonna go and shoot at anything that's moving because they're all fucking riled up, drinking and all that sort of shit. And they're also, of course, worried about other campers getting shot. But then Kittredge is like, oh, well, they're told to stay out of, like, R3 and R4, which is how they've designated these areas. And they're like, they're not carrying a fucking map. How are they going to know, like, which areas they're in? Like, they're just going out there willy-nilly and whatnot. So, like, what's to stop them from fucking wandering out of this area and, like, end up fucking shooting somebody? And right before we see Dawn, Kelly, and Scott talk to Kittredge, we follow this one hunter by his lonesome, and he comes across, like, some of the bear marks on trees and whatnot, and then the bear is stalking him as he walks along, and we just kind of see, like, bear legs and hear it as well. And again, the sounds are fucking terrifying in this movie. And then the hunter eventually sees the bear, who stands on its hind legs, and the hunter runs, and the bear chases after him. And then eventually the hunter just falls into a river and manages to fucking escape this thing. So we actually now finally have a witness to, like, how massive and big this fucking bear is. And then after Dawn, Scott, and Kelly are done talking to Kittredge, Tom is waiting outside in one of their trucks, and he tells them about the hunter and what happened and all of that. And then it's nighttime, and we see a bunch of rangers getting guns ready and whatnot. And then Allison shows up here, and Kelly says, like, she shouldn't come with him because, like, she couldn't handle it. But then says, like, oh, well, maybe I'm the one that can't handle it. They just go back and forth on this. So I guess the conclusion is she can't come because women no handle themselves. Like, I just that whole thing. Again, they could have done a lot more with her character in this respect. Like, the bear could have, like, kidnapped her or something, put her in danger, and, like, this could have been, like, Kelly's driving force to go after this bear a little bit more. So, like, I feel like she's just here for no reason whatsoever. And then we go to some hunters sleeping, and then this bear sneaks up on them, but it's just a cub. But it wakes them up, and this thing is just adorable. It's just an adorable cub. And they think that it may be the grizzly's cub, so they decide to take it, tie it up, and use it as bait for this bear, basically. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, bait suggests that the bear is going to eat this thing. Yep, because that's exactly what this grizzly does. It comes, eats the fucking bear. No hunters get a shot off. They're like, yeah, I just came and grabbed the cub and fucking ran or whatever. Useless. You hunters are fucking useless. My God. So then later, Kelly comes and questions them, and Scott suggests that the bear is a he because only the males are cannibalistic, and it may actually still be nearby in the area. I don't know how true some of these facts are. I know in some of the trivia, they, like, try to give the bear, like, a scientific name or something, but it's not accurate as to what it is. So I'm not sure how accurate some of these facts are. So again, as with any fucking movie dealing with anything, don't take it as fact. Like, it's for entertainment. Some of it might be based in reality. Some of it's probably just put in there for entertainment value. So, be cautious. Don't take it at fucking face value. So yeah, after Scott suggests that the bear could still be in the area, the hunters ask if they can help. And so they try and just basically come up with a plan to try and flush the bear out. And then Kelly assigns Tom, the one who was dating Gail, he assigns him to the watchtower, and he's not happy about it because he wants a shot at this bear. He wants revenge. But Kelly is like, you at least have a chance to spot the bear from up in the watchtower, and you might even still get a shot at it. But Tom still thinks he's being left out, but he goes and does it anyways. And then Dawn, Scott, and Kelly are sitting around, and Scott says he wants to capture the bear. And he shows them like a bullet tranquilizer that he made. And then Dawn says like it won't work because it's basically a BB compared to the bear. Now, I don't know a lot about bears, but I've watched a few shows on Discovery and likewise channels where people living in Alaska and the Yukon are encountering bears. And then some of them will carry like a really powerful handgun, like a fucking 44 Magnum or something like that. I don't know guns well, but like something us normal people would think to be super deadly, but like when shot at a bear, basically just pisses off the bear, like doesn't really cause it any harm, just makes it fucking angry. um, but yeah, like sometimes depending on the caliber, it'll just bounce right off the fucking bear. So you might buy yourself some time, or you might just really piss it off. So like some of this is actually sort of based in reality. So the caliber of bullet he's trying to use to tranquilize it may not be strong enough to even like penetrate its skin or something. So then Dawn recites a story about some natives who were sleeping and a bear came and attacked them, and the bear just kept attacking and killing people. So even though they don't usually just go after people, sometimes one goes rogue. So it's basically our rogue shark speech from Jaws here. And so Kelly says if Scotty spots the bear first, he can have a crack at him with his tranquilizer or whatever. But he's not going out there alone. He's not, going to allow him to be by himself, even if he does disguise himself as a fucking bear and blocks his scent or whatever he does. And then we go to the watchtower where Tom is looking out, and he's watching the hunters search the woods below. And then the bear comes across the watchtower without Tom noticing, and it starts growling below, and Tom spots him, and he manages to radio Kelly, Tom does, not the bear, and tell him that the grizzly is there, and then the grizzly starts knocking this tower over as Tom is trying to shoot at it. But eventually this tower falls, and then Dawn, Scott, and Kelly arrive and find Tom just dead on the ground. I don't know that the bear... I mean, technically the bear killed Tom, but I think the fall from the tower is mostly what killed Tom here. But yeah, Tom is dead. And so they go back into town. And now Kittredge and Kelly are talking while news reporters are outside interviewing people. And then Kelly tells Kittredge that he has a plan, but he needs time and men. And then he goes over how the bear has been killing. And then Kittredge tells Kelly not to give the bear human qualities. It's just an animal. And then Scotty kind of comments, is like, wow, this guy has no idea that we're dealing with an intelligent animal, while he's like mowing down on a sandwich. And Kelly's like, can you go eat that sandwich somewhere else? Like, don't do this right now. But I'm like, well, Scotty's kind of making a good point. Kittredge is kind of a fucking moron, and it should be pointed out. But anyways, Kelly tells Kittredge, like, again, about all the reporters and whatnot, and Kittredge is like, oh yeah, no, I invited them here, so they could see what a nice, clean job we're doing at handling this. Clean job at handling this? There's like fucking 5 people dead. You're doing a shit job at handling this. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Hey, look at all these people dying. We're doing a great job. Fuck the facts. We'll just say everything is fine and everyone will believe us because I'm a delusional asshole. Whee! And Kelly is baffled by this, appropriately so, and then yells at him. It's like... And naturally, Kittredge refuses to close the beaches, the forest, I mean. And Kelly then says, like, Kittredge doesn't really give a shit about the deaths. He's basically trying to put on a spectacle so when this finally does end, he can look like a hero and get a medal from Washington or something like that. But yeah, it's the same old thing. But I mean, this was done like a year after Jaws, so like this sort of trope hadn't been like super overdone at this point, which is why I kind of let it slide for this movie. Later on, Kelly and Scott are in Kelly's office, and Kelly is drunk talking nonsense, and he tells Scotty to go home, but Scotty says he wants the grizzly, and that the forest is like a home to him as well. And Kelly can sit there drinking his scotch or whatever, but he's going after the bear. And then we see this small house. It's daytime now. There's a child playing outside with a bunny rabbit. His mother comes outside and says, like, hey, don't go too far. Shit's crazy out there right now. So immediately the kid leaves the property, chasing after this rabbit, but he comes right back. You're like, oh, is he going to get the kid? No, that's just a tease. But then the bear does come immediately and grabs this fucking kid, starts like bear hugging the shit out of him, and swipes the kid's leg off. This child loses his fucking leg. Insane. And then the mother comes outside, tries like hitting the bear, and she's eventually fucking killed. And again, these are all like very close-up shots, so like they're just using like whatever like kind of puppet bear they have and whatnot, and then cutting to like different shots of the bear standing up or whatever. But still, the way that they cut these things all together, very effective because it's very quick, so they don't sit on anything for too long, but we still get a very good understanding of everything that's happening. And then later that night, Kelly meets Kittredge outside of the coroner's office, and then Kelly says to Kittredge, like, is the carnival over now? And Kittredge is like, yep, no, I guess so. And so Kelly is like, yeah, everybody can leave, get the reporters out of here and whatever, because all they've been doing is making this to be like a spectacle and to be very exciting and not like the danger that it actually is. Which sounds about fucking right. And apparently the kid survived. He lost his leg, but he did survive, I guess. But the mother is, like, definitely dead. So Dawn and Kelly get their chopper ready, loading it up with weapons as, like, Dawn is recounting his experience in, like, Vietnam. And then we see Scott on horseback searching for the bear as the chopper flies above. And then we see the bear kind of react to the chopper being nearby, and he does not seem very happy. So they land, go over their weapons, and get some bait ready, which is just a deer that they've gutted, and then they start hanging it from a tree. And so Dawn goes back to the chopper to get the rest of their gear while Kelly waits near the bait. And then the bear spots the deer, but runs away as Kelly takes the safety off his gun or something. So he yells to Dawn that the bear is nearby, and they start running after it. They end up losing track of it, and so they stop, running out of breath. And so they go to head back to the chopper, and then they get back to where the deer was, but the grizzly had come back around, taken the deer, and then ran away with it or whatever. It starts getting dark as Scott is still riding on horseback, and he comes across some, I don't know if he came across like bear tracks or maybe bear poop, which does answer the question, does bear shit in the woods? Yes, it does. And he sticks his hand on the ground, so this is why I kind of thought it was bear shit that he stuck his hand in. It wasn't entirely clear. It was kind of dark in this scene or whatever, but he decides that he's going to set up camp there. That's going to be the place that he's going to camp for the night. And then we go to Kelly and Dawn, who are having a fire by the chopper, and so they're going to take turns keeping watch or whatever. So the night goes by without any incident. The next morning, Scott comes across an animal corpse, and he radios it into Kelly, and Kelly is like, yeah, that's probably the fucking bait we had set up for him that he stole from us. And then he eventually gets Scott to tell him where he's at. Kelly tells Scott to leave, but Scott's like, no, I'm going to tie this deer up to my horse, and I'm going to drag it and lead this bear right to you. Kelly doesn't want this to happen, but Scott's going to fucking do it anyways. So this is what he does. He ties the bear up, or the deer up, to his horse and starts dragging it, heading in Kelly's direction. But then the bear eventually comes across Scotty, and he swipes the head off of Scotty's horse, just fucking right off. Scotty gets knocked off, and the bear swipes at him, and then he starts burying him. So we have also established earlier on in this movie that the bear will kill something and then bury it and come back for it later. Again, I don't know if that's what bears actually do. I wouldn't be surprised. It doesn't sound super outlandish, but yeah, so he swipes Scotty down and starts burying him. And then Kelly and Dawn are in the chopper trying to find Scotty. And after Scotty has been buried for a bit, we see some dirt move. So Scott is still alive, and he starts to come out. And so he gets out of the dirt, but the bear is still right behind him. The camera kind of blurs out, and then Dawn and Kelly find Scott, and he is all bloodied up, so he's dead. Scotty is dead. Scotty doesn't know that he's dead. And they try to figure out what they're going to do with the body, so they decide to just kind of bury him right there, mark the coordinates so somebody else can come and retrieve the remains later. So Dawn and Kelly get back in the chopper, they get a map out, and they figure out that the bear is headed back to where his first kill was. For reasons, they go into it, doesn't matter. So they spot the bear, swing the chopper around to go after it, and the bear starts running. They lose sight of it for a moment until they reach a clearing and spot it again. So Kelly tells Dawn to set the chopper down. The bear is tired, so now's their chance to get it. And as they get ready to leave the chopper, the bear spins the fucking chopper around. And then Don falls out and he starts shooting at the bear. And then the bear starts going after Kelly in the chopper. So Don shoots a couple more times and the bear starts running after him. And then Don is out of bullets, so he just starts holding his gun like a baseball bat. And then he just starts swinging away at it. But naturally, the fucking bear hugs him to death, tosses him to the ground, and then Kelly is shooting at it with no effect whatsoever. So he grabs the rocket launcher, the bear approaches him, he loads it, fires it at the bear when it gets close, and it fucking explodes, leaving nothing behind. Kelly looks sad for a little bit, he goes to Don's body, kneels down, and then the credits roll as he just stays knelt down there. So yeah, this is very much a Jaws clone, but in all the best ways. Like, we don't see too much of the bear. I mean, we definitely get some real bear action, which definitely lends a lot to this movie. Like, even though Jaws uses some, like, shark stock footage, they don't use a lot of it. Whereas this movie uses a lot of actual bear footage that they shot for the movie specifically. And it's mostly just for, like, close-ups or shots of it running or when it's just on its hind legs. So we don't really see, like, a person and the bear in the same frame, per se. We do a couple times. Like, there are a few times that we do this, especially in this end scene here, where the bear is, like, going up against the chopper and whatnot. Like, it's standing, and when it's standing above the, next to the chopper, like, it's fucking way taller than the helicopter is. Like, it is fucking huge. But, I mean, yeah, we certainly use some, like, puppet or animatronic for, like, the bear paws and whatnot. And I mean, for the most part, it's just like a lot of bear, like, kind of hugging people to death and arm swiping, people being just bloodied up or whatever. And again, we get like bear POV, just like we do with the shark POV and Jaws. We have a park supervisor who won't close the park down because money, image issues, etc. Jaws, beaches, yeah. And then we have a park ranger who thinks this is dumb and, you know, the animal needs to be taken out. Chief Brody, want to kill shark. And then, of course, the animal fucking explodes at the end. I like so many of these movies, because apparently that's the only way to deal with deadly animals, is to just blow them up. There's no other way. No other options. Honestly, I'm not complaining. It's fucking great. Blow shit up all you want. I'm all here for the explosions. Unless you're fucking Michael Bay and, like, all you know how to do is explosions. But either way. But yeah, despite, like, not seeing much of the animal, this movie still manages to keep it, like, pretty fearful. Like I said, like, some of the bear noises that we hear and whatnot, very scary, really kind of captures, like, just how powerful and big this bear really is. And then I feel like towards the end of the movie, they try to capture, like, that adventure feeling that the last, like, 30 to 45 minutes of Jaws has, where it's not so much a scary thriller, but it's more like an adventure action movie. So they tried to accomplish that. They didn't quite do it as effectively, but it still works out pretty well. The acting is perfectly fine for what it is, but again, I feel like Allison's character didn't really add much. Nothing against the actress herself, it's just the character. Like, we just really didn't need her interactions at all. Like, I felt like it really didn't add much of anything. And for 1976, like, some of the attacks were pretty visceral. Like, the kid getting attacked, it has, like, kind of the same impact as, like, the Kittner kid getting attacked in Jaws, but maybe a little bit more visceral because he loses his leg. Although the kid does survive in this one. So I guess Jaws is a little bit more violent in that respect. But yeah, overall, the violence is very effective. I love this movie. I think it's awesome. I'm going a full 4 stars on this. I think it's just as good as Alligator, just as enjoyable. Yeah, I would put this on any day with, like, Jaws or Alligator as well. Like, this is so far up there as being one of, like, the best Jaws ripoffs. Like, best as in, like, an actually good movie, where there's movies like The Last Shark, which are great Jaws ripoffs because of how bad they are. Very enjoyable. But, like, this is, like, a legitimately good movie, so I highly recommend checking this one out. But let me know what you guys think. Have you seen this movie? Do you like this movie? Do you think this movie's better than Alligator? Is it even in the same ballpark? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Now, of course, like I mentioned earlier, this movie did sort of get a sequel, and I'm going to be talking about that over on Patreon, and I'm just going to tear it a new asshole. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys this week. Make sure you check me out on all the social medias, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Slasher, Blue Sky, all that nonsense, at Bucket of Chum or at Bucket of Chum Podcast. Make sure like and subscribe to the YouTube videos, and I'll see you guys next time for even more Bucket of Chum.